At 6:37, he says something's wrong.
A news reporter relays the words of a condemned killer, Clayton Lockett, as a dramatic turn of events plays out at the state prison in McAlester. A planned double execution ends in failure as something goes wrong during the lethal injection.
The execution of Charles Warner is now on hold. 2 News reporter Max Resnick is live in McAlester with how this all went down. Max.
Department of Corrections officials tell us that Clayton Lockett died at 7:06 this evening after suffering a massive heart attack. They say he suffered that heart attack after the director of the DOC stopped the execution.
The execution began at 6:23.
The dozen reporters who witnessed the execution of Clayton Lockett returned to the media center more than 1 hour after the process began. They explained to those who did not witness the execution what just occurred.
He continued with slow blinks, heavy eyes. He laid still.
At 6:30, Lockett received his first check of consciousness. Media witnesses say he was still conscious. Robert Patton, director of the Department of Corrections, told reporters he was sedated. At 6:33, media witnesses say prison officials determined Lockett was unconscious.
At that time, we began pushing the second and third drugs in the protocol. There was some concern at that time that the drugs were not having the effect. So the doctor observed the line and determined that the line had blown.
That line, according to prison officials, was Lockett's vein.
At 6:37, he mumbles, something's wrong, as he lifts his head and shoulders off the gurney.
Prison officials drew the blinds in the execution chamber at 6:39. Patton made the call to stop the execution.
After conferring with the warden, and unknown how much drugs had went into him, it was my decision at that time to stop the execution.
Patton then called the governor's and attorney general's offices to tell them he stopped the execution. He requested a 14-day stay of execution for Charles Warner, who was scheduled to die at 8 o'clock tonight. A prison official tells us that they didn't know how long the execution might take because this was a drug mixture that they hadn't used before. Now, in the 19 previous lethal injections, they say the average time between injection and death was typically 6 to 12 minutes. Reporting live in McAlester tonight, Max Resnick, 2 News works for you.
Thank you, Max. The Neiman family issued this statement about their daughter after the execution. She was the joy of our life. We are thankful this day has finally arrived and justice will be served. And Governor Mary Fallin issued this statement on tonight's execution. She said, I have asked the Department of Corrections to conduct a full review of Oklahoma's execution procedures to determine what happened and why during this evening's execution of Clayton Darrell Lockett.